Hi Sujata, we are back after a fantastic week. We got a lot of calls and positive feedback on getting onto video. Of course, we had our uh, little bits of corrections needed in the way we approach this new medium that we are trying. But I think we are just getting better week after week. We are having fun. I'm sure the listeners and the viewers now, as it makes us so happy to call them, will also have fun. This week has been quite a hectic week, besides a lot of news from all over the world. And the place where I stay, a lot of cases are, the number of cases are increasing. So, one of the topics that you and I were talking about, let's talk about why fear um, this week uh, from an individual perspective, and then we see how it goes. What do you say?
Sure. Yeah, I'm fine. I think it's something that is it's I mean it's always deep rooted, but I think at a time like this it's all the more it makes its presence feel all the more is what I would say, and it manifests and comes out in different ways.
Yeah, yeah. For all of us, I think it's a collective and an individual problem. Let me start with the fear that I seem to have when I was thinking this morning about what we would speak if this was the subject that I would speak. Uh, First fear that I would have is uh, if my mind is revealed to the world, um, I would think I'm not adequate enough or capable enough. Uh, there's no particular fear of one kind of thing, one kind of subject that I'm not good enough at. Just that I am not good enough. That is a feeling that I had uh, that makes me very uncomfortable to say as well, because otherwise on the surface I'm quite confident and I do not carry this fear with me. But since
Mm-hmm.
this is a topic I was mulling over, this is uh, a perennial. Am I good enough at work? Am I good enough for the responsibilities of the family? Am I good enough uh, to be with my friends when they are going through their particular set of challenges? uh, it keeps uh, varying in terms of subject, but it's there. Is there. I may not be afraid of mortality or um, other big subjects very often. Uh, but these little things, I think if I were to sit and mull over them, they create a huge sense of discomfort. One doesn't know why, because I've just opened the topic to myself as well. I would not know where this is coming from. Does this kind of resonate with you, or do you want to say something on that?
It does. I mean, interestingly, like yourself, I also don't think about mortality and the larger issues that probably resonate with most people. I would say, especially in a time like this, it's the little things, everyday bits, whether it's work or relationships or how you're going to just pull or manage every day that's there. Uh, like I, I don't know if this is. You can term this as fear, but here in the UK where I live, uh, today we have started, rather the government has started opening up shops, okay, non-essentials that were closed. And again, I feel personally what one would classify as non-essentials and essentials is again very relative, right? So right. So this morning, usually, I mean, my office is very close home. It's like less than 2 miles. Uh, for people like you and me who have always uh, measured distances in time, that's a very Bombaya thing, right? So
Hmm.
it's say about a 10-minute drive, okay, just to give some perspective. And when I woke up this morning, I could see, traffic, unusually long line, and I was wondering who's going to work on a Monday morning when everything is shut. And I realized, oh no, today the town centers are going to open, some of the non-essential shops are going to open, and people are going to go mental, right? My immediate fear at that point was, will I find parking? Will I get stuck in traffic? Will I be late? It was it was a fear of a different kind. I also wanted to go to the office on time, start the Monday in a nice way, etc. But I knew that none of this is going to be under my control. And to top it all, we have some roadworks going on wherein two lanes have been combined into one. So that really set off a kind of a fear for me, and it kind of I started to think backwards, right? Okay, if I take my car and go, what will happen vis-a-vis me walking? So so what I'm trying to tell you is, if one is able to acknowledge and accept fear, whatever it may be, it might be something like what I just narrated, uh, to something else that people may be going through, and you probably tell yourself, okay, there is a way around it. You may not get the solution immediately, but the fact that you're acknowledging fear. So for me, what it tells me is, if you are fearful about something, as long as you're acknowledging it, that it is there, rather than ignoring it, I personally feel it's easier to live side by side, the fear that you have and how you're going to deal with it, rather than completely ignoring it.
Okay. Um, do you now, since you opened this can of worms with this last loaded statement, um, do you think we tend to over exaggerate our fears because of the kind of attitude that you said? Once you acknowledge it, uh, you tend to amplify uh, the meanderings of the mind in a negative
Yes.
sense. So
Yeah.
how does one put a lid on it if one were to? I'm saying not to suppress it necessarily, but how does one get the sense of control again, if at all?
So that will lead to another conversation here. Why do you want to have a sense of control? Why do you want to put a lid? Let it be half open, right? So
Uh,
it is there.
yeah, the discomfort, when you have a discomfort, you not want to have a solution to it of some sort. So that not in the sense of control, like a control freak would, although
Hmm.
partly maybe that is what it is, but
Yeah.
the fact that you seem incapable, it starts to eat into other parts of your life. When the parking example is a small example, but sometimes I've seen, I had a friend, and we were going for a meeting. I think in 1 minute, and I'm not exaggerating, she must have changed the radio channel at least 70, 80 times. And she kept changing it. The whole energy in the car was so nervous. And I had to tell her, relax, if you don't like any of the music, but she would hear one snippet, it would change, it would change, it would change. And I do not know whether nervousness and fear can be clubbed together. I'm just giving you a sense of how our minds work inside. That was a manifestation. Obviously, her mind would be working into overdrive of some kind, whatever her thoughts must have been. Since we were professional colleagues, one couldn't say beyond that. Uh, Even in the case of fear, sometimes when your mind starts to pick up the subject and blow it up, at that time we do not have a handle on it. And I, if I were to venture out on a limb, I would say uh, our sanity sometimes tends to get compromised. Would it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so in that sense, isn't a little bit of, when I mean control, maybe balance it out. What what is it that one can say to oneself, or what is it? Acknowledging it is one bit, But once you
Mm.
execute it sometimes becomes the main show in the cinema of your mind. Then it becomes, the fear starts to drive all our thoughts, our actions, our words. How does one then look at oneself? How does one get any kind of objectivity? Because now the fear is taken over and we are operating from the mind, obviously. So my question came from that space. What would,
Yeah, I get what. Sorry, go on.
no, no, what would you suggest at that point?
See, it's going to be a bit tricky to give any kind of suggestions here, simply because uh, I think for me personally, I would say if you're allowing something to take over your mind, or that incident or that fear to dictate everything else on that day or on that given situation, it will continue to do so. So for me, I would look at it as what you really tell your mind.
Okay.
Am I making sense? I mean, because I think there are more merits when you face your fear. It may not help. Like in my situation today, I was worried about being stuck in the traffic, not finding parking, and being late to the office. I wanted to avoid all three of that. Have I reached a solution? Maybe today I have reached a solution. I've decided I'll walk back, uh, but will I plan to walk every day? I don't know. But on the positive side, I feel if I'm able to commute to the office, which I know I'm very lucky because not many people have that luxury to walk into the office. The positives for me is probably I'm done with my 5K walking target for the day.
Okay.
So I feel if something is bothering you, if it's something you're fearing, you may not one may not have an immediate solution. I'll be surprised if anybody who is fearing something is able to come to a conclusion about that situation immediately, but
Hmm.
you're able to acknowledge it and let it simmer along with other things that are happening in a day. Maybe that could lead to something else.
Okay. So if I understood your point correctly, I'm just sticking to your example so that it doesn't get into some sense of philosophical talk. Uh, would you say that if one were to analyze whatever the fear is about, I'm saying analyze as objectively as one can, obviously, and figure out what are the doable points in your,
Mm,
you could walk. So if one is trying to figure out, okay, is there anything that I can do about it? Whatever one can do, however small it is, one starts,
yeah.
and it may not be 100% solution. It may not be, maybe it may not resolve anything except for 2% or 5%, very, very small percentage of the problem. But at least it gives you something to do. And while you're doing, you can wait for either the storm to abate a bit or else to allow your innate wisdom or life itself to come up with some kind of outlet for you at that point of time, perhaps. Is that a good way to look at it?
I would say that. And again, the thing is, what I'm fearing today may not be the same tomorrow. It could be something else.
Okay. So, so okay. In fact, while I was saying what I was saying before this, um, one of the thoughts that was crossing my mind: where does this fear start uh, generating? What is the starting point for um what one would think illogical, but I think it's also a thing that makes you survive, because it's your gut instinct telling you something. Sometimes that is what it may be as well.
Yeah.
But how and where does it start in the mind? Um, say, let us just stick to the example you've given, because between the two of us, you've given a concrete example. So when you were contemplating going to the office this morning, and you had this fear of the traffic jam, where did it start from? Just the knowledge that the lockdown had ended today and there would be chaos. Was it the news?
Yeah, it was a news. I mean, I was having coffee in the morning and I looked up at the news and it said the lockdown is going to be easing, the shops are going to close, malls are going to be operating, albeit with all the rules of social distancing and stuff like that. And it's a Monday morning, so I think pretty much most of us are having a home office kind of arrangement right now. And at some level, I thought, oh, people won't really venture out first thing in the morning to go and shop, but it turned out to be the opposite of it. So for me, the alarm bell started ringing when I saw the headlines which said,
Hmm.
uh, UK is going easy on lockdown rules, and not only that, and they're encouraging people to shop as well,
Hmm. Okay.
right? To improve the economy and all that stuff. But for me, what stuck to me was, okay, there's going to be traffic. How will I get into the office? I mean, it may be, some people may not look at it as fear, but for me, it was a feared thing because I know it will have a domino effect on other things that I planned for the day or what I may want to do.
Okay. Okay. I mentally broke it down into two or three uh, parts. So one part was the knowledge that you got in the morning that the news said the lockdown had eased. The second part was your knowledge of Monday mornings as a working professional and the world that we operate in. And
Hmm.
the third part was what could be perceived as a selfish interest in, oh, how does it matter to me? Is that,
Probably.
yeah, is that, I'm just calling it a selfish interest because just to demarcate it from the other two, there is no slant on the word selfish as of right now. Just that it is pertaining to a private understanding of the matter.
Yeah, no, you are right. Probably it is a selfish thing because for me, the fear is contained to what I'm going to do or how it's going to affect my day or my activity. So I don't really, if I may say, care about where people are going to stuck or how much they're going to shop.
Yeah, which is fine, which is understood. Uh,
Yeah,
the focus was, so the news bit is out of our control because any which way the government is deciding whether we'll be stuck at home or we'll be allowed to go to office. Uh,
yeah,
the second part is is it an imagined fear because of the past experience of Monday mornings? Uh, what we call a rational look at things in traditional terms. I'm just trying to analyze with my two bits of understanding because it is an assumed thing. You do not know for sure that this may happen. Then, because one of the wishful parts that you had was that maybe it's too early in the morning, people may not come out. Uh, and yet, um, why am I demarcating this is there is perceived knowledge, there is knowledge of the past, there are actions that you wish you want to do or you wish
mm-hmm.
we will do so that it facilitates your own interest and the interest with the fear of it that it may work, it may not work.
True.
Um, when I broke it down in my head, which was easy to do so because it was not my fear, which is what also oftenly happens is that if somebody else is going through a tough time, we tend to tell them, get a life. What are you being bothered about? But to the person, like you said, it may not matter to somebody else, but it matters a lot to you. Since
Yeah.
so overall, if I was to sum it up about that episode for you, would it be that your major fear was none of these fears, but these were smaller fears? The bigger fear was the effect it would have on your schedule, and
Yeah,
you
probably.
handle on it. And
Yeah.
now, so far, whatever your day has been, how much of your imaginative fear has fallen in place, or has it been managed? I'm just asking so that. Um,
I would say it is somewhere in the middle
okay.
because because I realized, I got here probably about half an hour late than what I would usually do on a daily basis. But then again, I had to probably reschedule one of my calls that was probably scheduled at around 12 o'clock, which was easy to do because I realized it's a Monday morning and not many people are dying to talk to each other, especially when you're running a business. I think you also tend to time when you're going to call people, finding out what's happening. And I generally don't do that in the first half of Mondays because that's where I spend time to plan the week and have a schedule. And I think if I may answer this a bit differently, going back to the fear factor, uh, I'm somebody who likes routine.
Sorry.
Uh, I'm somebody who likes routine.
Okay.
Yeah. So for me, if that topples away, I don't respond very well to other things, if it makes sense.
It does. So I have
I,
an off-topic thing on this, but I will stick to what you're saying. Please continue.
yeah, because as I speak, what I also realize is my fear is, I'm asking myself this: was my fear about getting to the office late, or was it about, like you rightly asked me, it having an effect on the schedule? I think probably it is more about having an effect on the schedule and me not being able to do the the 3 or 4 items that I decided I will do today. So for me, what it tells me is it's a fear of not sticking to the routine is what was bothering me more than anything else, if I make sense.
Yeah, I think you completely make sense on that. Um, so if we were to enlarge on the word routine itself, it is the way we expect life to be. Could we call it that? Because we have certain expectations. Monday morning, for example, if there was traffic and you would not have too much of trouble, you would see, yeah, Monday morning, this is bound to happen. So
Yeah,
routine that you are happy about, and there is routine you are unhappy about.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you're right. Absolutely. Maybe if I may say this, maybe next Monday morning, my fear would be something else, or I may not be fearful about the traffic or the time or whatever. I may probably have factored in an hour earlier to start my day or plan things so that I don't start my day feeling fearful like the way I did this morning.
Okay, this is an interesting thing that you opened up.
I told you, right? What
Yeah,
is
no, this is
fearful today
beautiful.
may not be fearful tomorrow or next
No,
week.
no, but this is no. I am coming to that point. It's so beautiful. So, do you mean this fear becomes the precursor to the fear that is going to come next week, so that you started 1 hour earlier? Is that a decision you take out of fear? Although you may have good repercussions, you may have an hour to the day, and um,
Yeah.
do that very often when I used to work for other people. I used to always reach half an hour earlier because I could enjoy my tea, coffee um, at leisure. Before some advertising, we are always running late on deadline. So somebody or the other would come at 9:30. So I would always reach by 9 a.m. and enjoy
Hmm.
that half an hour to myself so that I could do what I wanted. Check my mails or anything. So is this now my question to you is very pertinent to this, just this one point.
Hmm.
Is it a reaction to fear that will drive you to that will drive you or all of us to doing things uh, which are supposedly taken for granted, that every Monday is going to be as bad, whereas life has no such written rule. What we call routine um, is just a manner of how we tend to digest life.
Yeah.
And yet we move through this fear with confidence. Oh, now I have 1 hour, and next time onwards you find out that other people had the same idea. They are clogging the streets at around 7 a.m. and you're like, what is this? You can't be staying
Yeah.
right just in office. So at that point, while it seems idiotic, but the world has been shut down. I was talking to somebody who is quite fearful about getting a job because she does not have the requisite um, either the degree or the credentials.
Yeah.
I told her, you're comparing yourself to a world that has shut down because of a small virus. Yeah, we are nowhere in control anyways. What are you bothered about? You go, you try your best, and it may work, it may not work. So yeah, that is the question. What do you think is the motive, and is if the motive is being fearful and still acting out of it, is that the right thing to do for ourselves? Does it seed the right intent, right emotions inside? Because deep inside, we would still have some kind of butterflies, not being comfortable because we are not comfortable to start with. We may not apparently,
Yeah.
but is this a problem that we are creating for ourselves? Uh, I'm just thinking aloud.
Mm, I wouldn't look at it as a problem we are creating for ourselves. The way I would look at it is you are trying to work around the fear in whatever way you can. And like I said at the start of our discussion, it is eventually what you tell yourself about the fear itself. I mean, uh, the other thing is, see, I am somebody who prefers a routine. I don't think other people may want to have a routine. I know of people who don't want a routine, but they're still happy functioning or doing whatever comes their way. It is probably, I have just conditioned myself that way because it works better for me.
No,
Like,
I have a very easy point of view on that. Their lack of routine is their routine.
it is their routine. Yeah, like I
Yeah,
know
so
this may sound
it is,
very stupid, but my idea of routine is I don't want to get into details here, but I've kind of given all that happens during the week. I said, okay, every Sunday I'm not going to have a routine. So for me, that is a routine. Not having a routine every Sunday, I just want to take it easy. You
so
get what
that,
I mean?
yeah, but this is exactly what my question is. So, as a as a thinking individual, or as people who want to be happy, why is this entire exercise?
Mm,
We want to be fearless. We we don't want to lead fearful lives, whatever the fear may be, whether it is of the
mm,
traffic jam or the Sunday, because this fear of no routine on a Sunday, and you get the deal of your life on that day, it always puts this pressure. Okay, why does this idiot have to come? And I'm not saying we call our clients idiots, but I'm just saying this thing that has disrupted our schedule, which we are unable to handle, because there is one happiness and then there is the happiness of a Sunday. You know that the Sunday will now come only next week. You cannot hurry it up and get it.
yeah,
And at the same time, this deal means the world to you, or maybe the person means the world to you. You want to help them out with their requirements as a client. They've been good to you, and you've had a wonderful business rapport with them. On an ordinary day, they would not call you on a Sunday, but because the requirement is such, they've called you.
mm,
I think between the two, how does one choose the happier decision, which is not out of fear? Okay, I'll lose this client or I'll lose my Sunday. How can one balance it out? Is there a way to balance it out? Can we develop the requisite objectivity? Is there a way? Because you said, okay, we need to start with acknowledging.
yeah,
So
yeah. I
acknowledgement of the fact that both are important to me.
I completely agree to that. See, that's where I think when you are self-employed and and we do what we do for a living, I think somewhere it is also important that you factor in some amount of flexibility. So as much as I like routine, I won't say, okay, I'm not going to do this, which may probably translate into a next number of billing or some predictability of workflow in the next 6 months. I'm not going to do that. No, because the doing something that my client probably wants me to do on a Sunday is going to lead to other outcomes.
Okay. So now I'm trying to name the issue. So just bear with me in case I don't have the right words. But
Oh no, take your time.
suppose there is this, if one realizes that there is this benefit
Mm-hmm.
that one gets out of not fearing things,
Yes.
and acknowledging that as well, because one is,
Yeah.
I agree with you, one has to start acknowledging the fear.
Yeah.
Also studying it, because you need to understand where it springs from. Like when we
Yeah.
started this conversation in your example, we didn't know that it was not about the traffic jam, it was not about the news, it was about your own personal, what we initially termed as selfish for want of better understanding at that point in the talk. But as
Probably.
you realize, Kate, is a valid point. Obviously, you are a
Yes.
professional, you need to figure out your time. You also have a family to fend for. You got go back on time and do other things, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Um, so when we are doing this, how does one evaluate? Um, you said flexibility. Would you want to go deeper into that? Is that the only antidote to fear, or do we also continue the fear and park it there for a while and come back? What is it about my Sunday? So let's start there only. What is it about having a Sunday that is um, schedule free
Mm.
for you? Um, what kind of happiness are you looking for? And what if it does not happen?
Okay, let me answer it in two parts. I mean, the first part is what is it about the Sunday is because it's actually taken me a lot of time and many years to actually acknowledge and arrive the fact that even God rested on a Sunday. There was a reason why he did that. Okay.
Of course.
So it starts there, right? Because when you're self-employed, you're doing so many other things. I mean, I sometimes tend to have 16 to 17-hour days, and I realized that's how it will be for various reasons. I don't want to change a thing about that because I like my days to be full of activities and schedules or whatever, right? But I realize over a period of time, you need that one day of not doing what you do every day, whether you want to call it getting your physical rest or your break from your thinking pattern, or time to just recenter and reset yourself,
Okay.
right? That is one part of
Okay.
my answer. But having said that, you're also allowing time off that day to do what you want to do or what you don't want to do. But then if you have a situation which demands you to do something, I guess one has to be equally flexible and open to do that as well. Because if I have to think about it, I don't think there are many Sundays when a client expects some kind of output or input from me for their situation. So if I have to do that, I will have no qualms to do that because I enjoy doing that. I guess it also depends what the activity is that one is expected to do. Do you enjoy it? Do you want to do it? Like, I mean, like I've said in one of the podcasts, we spoke about self-love or self-care or something. And I said, I cook every single day for my family.
Yeah, you
So
did.
maybe Sunday I will not cook. And I didn't cook. But does that mean that my family was hungry? No, I did make some backup arrangements and we all had a good relaxed time. So I guess it's just about being a bit creative and flexible in terms of if you have to do that extra bit, you have to do that. And then of course, coming back to your original question of fear, I think it goes hand in hand, Bunty. That's what my experience has been, whether it is coming to the office on time or not getting stuck in a traffic, or to larger issues like when will I see my parents, right? I've not seen them in 2 years' time. I just acknowledge it. Okay, I've not seen them. I don't know when I will see them. It is something that I live every day, but it is what it is.
Okay. So I have an interesting question on the good part of it.
Of course you do.
The good part was you said you enjoy these 15-hour days, 16-hour days packed with activities. Uh, I'm reading between the lines that challenge you and keep you alert or uh,
Hmm.
make it enjoyable for you. Uh, what if it were a forced activity um, of 15 hours, 16-hour days for a prolonged period of time, which would not give you peace and happiness or a kick of excellence and passion? Uh, like the lockdown is, for example, while it seems that I am being unfair, but it actually no. We've been, one of my friends posted a beautiful picture of his village on Instagram, which was terraces and those one floor houses and skies. And I wrote to him, "Are you making people in big jails jealous like me?"
Hmm.
And he laughed. And that's exactly what I felt. I have not felt that kind of thing in a while. Even when now one gets out, you're going surely to fulfill your basic needs,
Yeah, what essentials? Yeah.
essentials. So I'm saying we are being forced. And yet, if somebody
Yeah.
asks me, am I fearful? Am I unhappy? To a small extent, definitely so. The frustration sometimes does arise about not getting to do what one wants. But at the same time, it's not just survival that makes me stay put. My
Hmm.
ability to look at it in a manner where I'm used to um, looking at life not fulfilling my expectations helps quite a lot. Um,
Okay.
One of
Okay.
my friends
Okay.
had actually gifted me a T-shirt which said in Hindi "अपनी नहीं चलती," because I used to always keep on saying that, which effectively means we are not in control.
Hmm.
And while on the surface of it, it seems illogical, but aren't we all like these same 15, 17 hours that you're talking about? Would you look at them and I think it's a bad example, but suppose somebody in your family is unwell and you have to take care, and yet the 16 hours is not leaving you. That same enjoyable thing at that point becomes so painful. You want to get rid of it, but you cannot because you cannot um, ditch the business of the client at that point of time for whatever reason.
Hmm.
Just
Hmm.
exaggerating, but there are days like those happen. And or something as simple as your daughter wants you to accompany her to school for a special function or meeting a teacher on something important, and suddenly you realize uh, the business deal or whatever the call that you were not expecting has just come. At that point, you really the same enjoyable thing is no longer enjoyable. So, so where does the decision making come from? How do you adjust, and what is the mindset? I'm not interested in the example so much as the mindset. What is the mind that will resolve the problem for us when things
I
are
think it is a sorry. I think it is a tough call because two situations are going to be the same. I mean, just to pick on from what you said, I mean, I have a commitment with my daughter at school, but then a work situation has arisen. Uh, I have to try and meet both of them somewhere in the middle, and depending upon what the situation is, which needs more attention, I think that's a call that you have to take, and you should be willing to pay the price for it as well. Whether it's attending an event in your child's school or addressing a client situation.
yeah.
And once you make that choice, I guess you just have to stick with it. What will make me happy? I mean, and how often am I compromising one for the other?
Yeah, that is actually immaterial because that presumes that both the situations are stagnant and they will always arise in the same manner, which is
Yeah,
the
Murphy's,
situation.
yes, it will always, it happens most of the times. But the way I would look at it is it depends on how many times I'm doing a trade-off, if I may use that word, between attending events and because one obviously feeds the other, let's face it, right? So I guess it eventually boils down to what you tell yourself based on the choice that you've made, and somewhere also believe that you will always have another opportunity to make up at both ends.
Yeah, oh, we'll keep that aside.
Yeah,
I want to
yeah,
pinpoint at the exact point where you're taking the decision, whichever decision,
yeah,
whether business
yeah,
or the event.
yeah,
So one actually gives it a 360-degree point of view, saying these are the options available. These are things I can do. These are things that are absolutely not possible because of
yeah,
a physical or mental presence in one place. Uh,
yeah.
how does one ease that for oneself? Because that will help address the fear that we started with. Because fear is not getting something, or
Yeah.
something happening that you fear, or something not happening the way you want. So these are again the two choices that you're stuck with. There are certain things you will do. So is there a mindset that we can look at that point of time which eases it for us? Was the last line the answer where you said you have to be willing to understand there is going to be a compromise?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
life is long. Hopefully, you will get a chance to make up for the.
Get it? Yeah, because that's what I would say. I mean, easing yourself at that point in time and telling yourself, okay, I'm going to choose between one of them and I'm willing to pay the price or deal with whatever the situation is on the one that I'm not addressing enough, or the one that I chose to ignore or not prioritize it at that point in time, and willing to stay with the repercussions, whether that is losing a contract or your child getting annoyed with you for the next 1 week. You decide on that, accept that decision and make peace with it. Good, bad, ugly, it's your decision, right?
Okay.
That's how I would address it. I mean, that's how I've been doing it as well.
Okay. So now, since we've been going very close into the event and discussing the repercussions of particular events and the mindset, can one also get uh, a lot of peace from having a bigger perspective about things, that finally uh, these are these are smaller parts of life. One need not really build them up. Um, Making a mountain out of a molehill is a phrase that comes to mind. That it is a event. It is important today, but it is important today. In 1 week, it may not be as important. In 1 month, in 1 year, in 6 months, it may not. In 20 years, it would be even more. So would this kind of perspective, if it is embedded in the situation, help?
I have a different answer there, because you spoke about smaller and bigger things and bigger perspective and smaller things. But for me personally, it's always the smaller things that have mattered. uh, because I feel if you're addressing the smaller things first, it gives you a different perspective. Whether it is bigger or wider, we can choose to address it accordingly. So,
Can you
give,
explain?
so something like, I mean, without getting into too many details, right? If I have to choose on that situation, attending to a last minute client call or attending to my daughter's event in school, I would say pretty much 7 to 8 times out of 10, I always tend to go with the latter, because I know it has a larger effect on her well-being. We as a family dealing with things in the evening, and generally it sets the tone for her for the next day or the week ahead.
Okay.
So for me, that is more important at that point in time. Her happiness, my child's happiness, and the well-being that she would feel if if me or one of us is there to be with her at that point in time. I think it is also about doing your best. It's also about giving your best to things that are in your control, that will have a bigger outcome at that point in time. I'm not sure if I'm making sense here.
No, my issue is I want to understand what are the smaller things that you address. By smaller, you meant smaller as in concentric circles. Since you are a family unit, if every member of the family is happy because you contributed to the family at that point of time, even when it was difficult for you, so all of you all will, it will always be the whole greater than the sum of its parts, kind of thing.
Yes, something like that, right? That's what I would say.
And how do you handle at that point? How do you handle the bigger circle where what would you tell your client? Would you be truthful? Would you wriggle out saying,
Yeah. Yeah, I always try to be truthful where I can. I would say, look, I have a commitment at my child's school and I will really not be able to do it. But what I can maybe do it, make myself available at 9 p.m. or first thing in the morning at 6 p.m. because over the years I've realized that there is nothing that is, things
Stopping
can
you.
wait. Yeah, yeah, because I think somewhere, I think we are staying in times where we need to make our clients also aware that we also have our lives, personal commitments, and I think they do appreciate that when you're open about it. And I also feel if you rush into something and you're not into 100%, but your mind is elsewhere, the possibility of you sinking both is equally higher.
So are you saying the if the fear is given a free rein, then it
Yeah,
affects your mind in not only this aspect, it would
yeah,
also.
both the aspects, right? Yeah, because I'm driving down to some event, I know I'm not going to be able to address my client situation, and I have to focus on not crashing my car into somebody or get run over or whatever. So I think fear has this ability to maximize things and literally seep into all areas of your life. It is how much you acknowledge it and control whatever you can control, rather trying to even out everything, I would say.
So I'm smiling because an example you gave has opened an absolutely new direction in my head,
I'm sure.
which is a line from the movie Fight Club, where they are about to have an accident, some kind of scene where he says, "You had a near life experience." I don't know if you've seen the movie, and it's
Brad Pitt, right?
yeah, I think there. I don't remember the exact scene, but there is this dialogue which says, "You just had a near life experience," and
And not a near death experience.
yeah,
Yeah,
and, so is it possible that we can sometimes channelize fear to do better? Just from
always.
I know.
Most of the times, I would say.
Uh,
That's my perspective. Most of the times, I would say.
um,
Because maybe your fear is trying to tell you something that you're not recognizing or you're unable to recognize.
okay, so it makes us more alert. Is that what you're saying? To our
I
innate.
would probably say it keeps you on your toes, it keeps you on the edge, it probably inspires and wants you to do things that you may have not done otherwise, or it may not have even stuck you to do otherwise, I would say.
It's very interesting because then we are saying fear can make us adventurous if we give it enough
Yes,
channelizing.
yeah, it depends on how you feed your fear. It can also have a positive outcome, right? Just because you're fearful about something, it doesn't always have to be negative.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. I don't
Yeah,
have a
so that's
question.
how I look at it. See, all it started with a news article this morning, and where we are discussing so many things.
It is,
But I liked your last point about you saying that. So if we acknowledge fear, it can lead to positive things. So yes, I am a strong believer in that. If you feed your fear the right way, it can lead to other things as well. It doesn't always have to be negative. As long as you acknowledge it's going to be a mix of both all the time, I think it's easier to manage stuff.
it's surprising that a movie line got me there because this is a dialogue that I use very often. I get bored otherwise. If I'm fearful that I can't do this, I think the podcast was one such thing. The video podcast is another thing. You know for a fact that we've been trying to get this particular recording done, and the internet has been failing us, and the passwords are not matching,
I
and
know.
and both of us have been like, yeah, okay, once more, let's try it.
We,
I think the beauty of it is because you are not investing your fear into it, but you're just saying, okay, it's a temporary glitch. If it works, it works.
e-
If it doesn't.
yeah, I think you and I both were creative today. You decided to reset your modem, and I decided to switch to another gadget,
Device.
and it worked. We're just being creative about it, and rather than saying, oh, it's not happening, let's do it some other time. So there you go, right? We
Yeah.
haven't been fearful that the stars are not aligned. We made sure that at least some of them have come through.
Well, I hope so that we are influencing stars in a good manner. We are in a good position, I think, to end this podcast here. We've covered a lot of ground. It's been quite intense. And
Yeah.
what I would want to do is mull over a little on this. if we decide to revisit this particular topic again with more pondering on little details, we can, or else as life wills it, let's not be fearful about what the next topic will be to start with.
Yes, yeah, I would say face the fear and feel it. That's the only way to go on, I would say, about your day.
Yes, so good. It's been fun, and
Yeah, as always. And next Monday, I will not be fearful
okay.
about parking or coming late to the office.
I will, I think, yeah, take the highway. to-
Something like that. Yeah, I know, absolutely.
Good, good. Chalo,
Good catch up, Bunty.
yeah,
Yeah, as always.
bye.
Yeah, bye.